Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'm Ty Glenn. Hope you guys are having a great Monday. Before we go ahead and get started, I just want to share a couple of things with you guys. First thing, make sure that you're following the Hockey Talk with TG podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know I've been saying it a lot of late, but that's because I'm trying to build up my followers and, build up the podcast in general. So that's why I keep on repeating it every time I come on. With you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11:30 a.m. to noon Central Time, 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So you want to make sure that you're staying up to date on the latest NHL news, teams, players, stats, and other general hockey news I bring on the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. And also, remember, Wednesday, I will be doing a preview of the NHL trade deadline. That episode will just be on trade deadline stuff and trade deadline stuff only. So you're not going to want to miss Wednesday's episode of Hockey Talk with TG Podcast. Friday, remember, there is no episode of Hockey Talk with TG Podcast because of trade deadline day. So the league will be going live. And you guys will be seeing trades as they come up. Trades will come in like a very instance. It will come just like that. So it will be coming up every so often. It will just keep on rolling and rolling and rolling. So it will be like that. And you'll hear updates from Twitter. You'll get notifications from Twitter, Elliot Freeman, NHL Network, and other insiders will post each and every trade that happens. So you'll see a lot of that on Twitter. You'll also see some, I believe, on Instagram. If you follow the Instagram page that, keeps up with trade stuff in general, or the NHL account itself, it'll post it on there. So it's going to be a busy day for Friday. So that's why I kind of just decided not to do an episode of the Hockey Talk TG podcast on Friday because of, NHL trade deadline day, and trades are going to be happening every so in a quick of an instance. It's kind of like a tongue twister there. So it's going to be happening like that. But the following Monday, I will recap the trades. I'll share my thoughts on them with you guys, and I'll give out my winners and losers of each and every trade. But without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started into the NHL news. So first things first, we'll talk about the NHL Stadium Series that happened this weekend between the Blue Jackets and Red Wings. I'm not going to lie, I did not watch this game live because I was tuning in to the WWE Elimination Chamber event that was in Toronto. Congratulations to, Bianca Belair and John Cena on winning the Elimination Chamber. Shocking ending, by the way, with John Cena attacking Cody Rhodes. And, of course, The Rock and Travis Scott got in it as well. So Cody Rhodes, he turned down The Rock's offer. And John Cena surprisingly turned heel and attacked Cody Rhodes. So shocking ending to there. So that's kind of why I didn't watch the NHL Stadium Series live when it happened, because I was tuning in to the Elimination Chamber. But I did go back and I watched the highlights. I, saw all the notes, all the stats, statistics of that game, and that's what we're going to be talking about first. So Justin Danforth, he scores the game-winning goal with 2 minutes and 17 seconds left in the third period to get the Blue Jackets a 5-3 win over the Detroit Red Wings at the NHL Stadium Series. He also had an assist for a 2-point night, first outdoor game for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and it was also their first win in an NHL outdoor game, and Columbus moves to 30, 22-8 of the season. They win the season series 2-1. They win their fourth straight game, and a total of 94,751 people were at the Ohio Stadium, the shoe for the NHL Stadium Series. Second largest outdoor game in NHL history. Of course, the first one being the 2014 NHL Winter Classic between the original six rivals, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Detroit Red Wings, which was played at Michigan Stadium, which was a great game, by the way. I really enjoyed that game. Of course, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Toronto won 3-2 in the shootout. That was the final score of that game. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, yeah, it was just a great game in general. And so is this one. I mean, you also had the Gaudreau family coming out there and honoring Johnny Gaudreau, his impact on hockey. And, it's been an emotional season overall for the Blue Jackets because of the tragic passing of Johnny Gaudreau and the passing of Johnny Gaudreau and his brother, Matthew Gaudreau. So it's been an emotional season nonetheless. So it's great to see Gaudreau family come out there. First one's out there leading the way for the Columbus Blue Jackets for the NHL Stadium Series. And, I really think it's great and nice for both the Columbus Blue Jackets and Calgary Flames to honor the impact that Johnny Gaudreau had, not just on those teams, but, hockey itself overall. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people looked up to him, wanted to be like him, kind of described him as a role model, helping them to be the, next best hockey players they can be. So just to see this together, it's really nice. And the NHL for doing this makes it even better. Jane Gaudreau, who is Johnny Gaudreau's mother, she was on the mom's trip for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and she was also at the Stadium Series with Johnny Gaudreau's wife, Meredith Gaudreau, and of course Johnny and Meredith's 1-year-old son, Johnny Gaudreau Jr., which last Saturday, I believe, was his birthday, and my Chicago Blackhawks were in Columbus to take on the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Blue Jackets and Blackhawks fans actually sung happy birthday to Johnny Gaudreau Jr. And like I said, it's been an emotional season for the Blue Jackets overall, and to do this for the Gaudreau family, it is really nice. They're also in a wild card playoff spot, so not what fans were expecting in general, but nobody expected the Blue Jackets to be in the wild card spot, but the way that they've been playing of lately, it's been unreal. And this actually felt like a playoff game. This Stadium Series between the Blue Jackets and Red Wings actually felt like a playoff game. The reason why I say that is because before the game in Detroit, when the Blue Jackets went to Detroit and faced the Red Wings, of course the Blue Jackets ended up winning that game by a final score of 5-2. Both teams were in a wild card playoff spot and still are in a wild card playoff spot today. But heading into that game in Detroit, both teams were in a wild card playoff spot. Detroit had 66 points. Columbus had 64. Detroit was first in the wild card spot. Columbus was second. And Columbus won that game, like I said. And then they win the Stadium Series 5-3. Their first place in a wild card playoff spot. And let me just check this on my phone real quick for you guys. I think the Blue Jackets are trailing the New Jersey Devils right there. 4 points behind the New Jersey Devils for third place in the Metropolitan Division. And they're 2 points ahead of the Red Wings with 68 points right there. So overall thoughts on the Stadium Series, I really did enjoy it. Despite me not seeing it live, I had to go back, watch the replay, watch the highlights because I was tuned in to the WWE Elimination Chamber. I can't wait for Monday Night Raw. I don't know if John Cena's going to be on there, but hopefully we'll get answers on why John Cena shockingly attacked Cody Rhodes. I don't know. I knew Cody Rhodes was going to turn down The Rock's offer. What I didn't know is that John Cena was going to do a vicious attack on Cody Rhodes. I did not know that. And I'm pretty sure if you're a WWE fan, you did not know that either. I'm just an avid fan. Like, I tune in to WWE every now and then, so I'm an avid fan. I'm not really like a fan, just an avid fan. But overall thoughts on the Stadium Series, I really did enjoy it. And, of course, with the stakes where the Blue Jackets and Red Wings are at, I feel like there's starting to be a rivalry between the Red Wings and Blue Jackets because not only are they both playoff teams, they're trying to go neck and neck with each other in the Eastern Conference, but also they were playing at the Shoe, which, of course, University of Michigan and Ohio State, they have a rivalry themselves. And Red Wings and Blue Jackets are, starting to rekindle or develop that, same rivalry overall. So that's one of the reasons why I say this felt like a playoff game. But I feel like I'm starting to see a rivalry between these two teams. But just in general, I really did enjoy the Stadium Series. Overall, NHL did a great job with this, and it was nice to see the Blue Jackets in their first outdoor game. Never been in the outdoor game before until now. So NHL did a really great job with putting this event together. Blue Jackets started a 4-game road trip against the Tampa Bay Lightning Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while the Red Wings returned home to face the Hurricanes Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. All right, now we're going to get into the Maple Leafs and Penguins game from Sunday. It was a milestone night in the Steel City for Sidney Crosby and Austin Matthews, but of course, the teams, like it can be 2 winners in this one. It can only be 1 winner, and that winner was the Toronto Maple Leafs. They defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins in overtime by a final score of 6-5. William Nylander scored the overtime game-winning goal. He scored a minute into overtime, and Toronto moves to 38-20-2 of the season. They won 5 straight games. They won 8 of their past 9 games, and they win this season series 2-1. And Austin Matthews, he had a goal and an assist for a 2-point night. He reached 700 career points in his, career. And also with the goal, he passed Daryl Sittler for second most goals in franchise history. Of course, Austin Matthews now has 390 career goals for the Maple Leafs. Daryl Sittler, during his time with the Toronto Maple Leafs, he had 389. Of course, Austin Matthews trails Matt Sundin, who's first place in Maple Leafs all-time goals list with 420 goals for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we'll see if Austin Matthews can pass that mark, which no doubt in mind he can. And Matthew Nyes, he had a goal and an assist for a 2-point night, and I didn't think his goal at the buzzer beater in that second period had counted. It was kind of like when I saw it the first time, and this was live, by the way. I thought it wasn't going to count, but they showed the replay, and he got it in with 0.1 seconds left remaining in the second period, and Maple Leafs had the 5-4 lead heading into the final frame. And of course, the Penguins were tied up. Game going to OT. Maple Leafs won it. Joseph Woll, he had a great game for Toronto. He made 29 saves in the crease. And we can't forget about Sid the Kid, Sidney Crosby, coming off of a Four Nations win with Team Canada. He reaches another milestone. He reaches another terrific moment in his career. He passed Gordie Howe for 10th place on the NHL's all-time assist list with 2 assists in the game. And he's now up to 1,050 assists in his career. He also scored a goal in this one for a 3-point night. Rickard Rakell, he scored twice in this game. And Brian Rust, he had a goal and an assist for a 2-point night for the Penguins. And Joel Blomqvist made 27 saves. And the Penguins, it's just been a rough season for them overall. I don't see them being a playoff team. Lost 6 of the 7 last games. They won 5-1 during the span. And then 24, 29, and 10 of the season. But the Penguins, they do return. No, they don't. They started a 3-game road trip in Colorado against the Avalanche Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So we'll see Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, the Nova Scotia boys go at it. They were teammates at the NHL's Four Nations for Team Canada. They're going to be rivals in this one. So we'll see how that game will play out. And the Maple Leafs, they are playing a second of a back-to-back set. They'll be at home on Mondays to take on the San Jose Sharks at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. I'm not sure if this game will be on Amazon Prime to my fellow Canadians up north because the Senators play the Capitals today and the Canadians play the Sabres today. So to all my Canadians up north, I don't have an answer on whether this will be on Amazon Prime for you or not to watch, but I'm pretty sure after I put out this episode, I will find out eventually. So, yeah. All right, a blockbuster trade went down Saturday as Seth Jones was traded to the Florida Panthers by the Chicago Blackhawks on Saturday. Florida also received a 2026 fourth-round pick in the deal. Blackhawks get Spencer Knight and a 2026 first-round pick, which was eventually moved to a 2027 first-round pick based on certain conditions being met. I actually did do an article on this as well, so you can go ahead and check out the article after I, talk about this a little bit in the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'll put the article in the description for you guys to check out. It's on Blackhawk Up. It's so you guys can go check it out on there. Like I said, I will put it in the description. Hawks do retain 25% of Seth Jones' $9.5 million contract, and Seth Jones is in the third season of an 8-year, $76 million contract. He signed with the Blackhawks on July 28, 2021. And before he was traded to the Florida Panthers, he said this after the Blackhawks 2-1 loss to Utah Hockey Club. I believe this was on Thursday. He said, we're the exact same team right now as we were in Game 1. It's pretty evident out there. We haven't made any strides to be a better, more simple hockey team, and it shows. And we don't get a lot because of that. My comments on that, my thoughts on what Seth Jones said after that 2-1 loss to Utah Hockey Club. I mean, yes, he called out the team for that, but you got to remember, you were the main problem the whole entire time. For you to call out the team like that, I don't know why you're talking. I mean, you talk a big game. You talk a big game when you're the main one who's the reason why the Blackhawks are where they are, Seth Jones. Because your defensive stats, or your season stats in general, I should say, have not been that good. And during your 4 seasons with the Blackhawks, haven't been good as either. So you can't be talking when you're the main problem in this scenario. But speaking of Seth Jones' season stats, let's take a look at it since he wants to talk a big game and all. He has 27 points in 42 games played this season with the Hawks. 7 goals, 20 assists for 27 points in 42 games played with the Hawks. And during his 4 seasons with the Blackhawks, he has 146 points in 259 games played. 32 goals, 114 assists for 146 points in 259 games played. And get this, a minus 108 plus minus. That is bad. And he's calling out the Blackhawks for their plays and how they're doing in these games when he was the main reason why the Blackhawks continue to play so poorly. The main reason. The number one reason why the Blackhawks have continued to play poorly when he was on the team. So actually, I'm not going to share my thoughts just yet. I will share them after I get through talking about this. And this was what Seth Jones had to say after the trade. He said, I've been here the last 4 years through probably the darkest times the Blackhawks have seen for a while. I think things are moving up. They are moving forward. But I think my timeline might be different than Kyle and Norm's and the Blackhawks. There's nothing against anybody. I'm not holding it against anybody what they decide to do here. Sometimes it's not in everyone's plans. And this is what Panthers general manager Bill Zito had to say on the Seth Jones trade. So Seth is an elite veteran defenseman and a proven leader in our league. He has been one of the most consistent players of the past decade, serving as a reliable workhorse on both sides of the puck. And he will help our club to continue to compete at the highest level. My thoughts on that comment in general. I do agree. Seth Jones is a elite veteran defenseman. But Not this season. Not this season. He's not. I mean, if you said that to me like maybe 10 years ago, or maybe when he was playing for, the Nashville Predators or Columbus Blue Jackets, I would have believed you then. But this season, I mean, it feels like he's lost his touch. He's not in his prime anymore. So I kind of disagree with that statement. You told me that like a decade ago. I would have believed you. I would have believed you, Bill Zito. I mean, I would have said that, but I don't know if Seth Jones can be the guy that he used to be right now, based on his performance with the Blackhawks this season. I don't know how that will carry on with the Florida Panthers, and the Panthers do have a game today against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Battle of Florida right there. Always a great to see these two teams go at it. I wish could have seen them go at it in 2026 NHL Winter Classic. Obviously, that is not the case, but I don't know how that will play out with Seth Jones being in Florida, and I don't know if he'll be the same guy that we saw before when he was playing for the Blue Jackets and the Predators. But moving on to Spencer Knight. Take a look at Spencer Knight's stats with the Panthers during this 2024-25 season. He is 12-8-1 with a 2.40 goals against average and a .907 save percentage and 2 shutouts this season. And during his 4 seasons overall with the Panthers, he is 44-25-7 with a 2.76 goals against average and a .906 save percentage and 5 shutouts. And, of course, he's a Stanley Cup champion, won a Stanley Cup with the Florida Panthers last year when the Panthers beat the Oilers in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Of course, Spencer Knight, he was drafted by the Panthers in the first round, 13th pick in the 2019 NHL Draft. When the NHL Draft, I believe, was in Vancouver when this happened. Winners of the trade, it has to be the Blackhawks. Absolute steal. Right there. Kyle Davidson absolutely cooked on this one. Loses to the trade, Panthers, and I'll tell you guys why. Blackhawks, of course, we all know what state the Blackhawks are in. They are in a rebuild mode, trying to go out, trying to get younger players who will be around for the long haul, trying to lay the groundwork for the future so they can be a playoff team once again, and to get a young goaltender in Spencer Knight is really an absolute W for Kyle Davidson, and no doubt in mind that he's going to be a terrific goaltender for the Chicago Blackhawks. And we also get a draft pick and with that trade, which of course hopefully this draft pick is worth it, because like I said, we're trying to scout, we're trying to build around for the future, and that's what the Blackhawks need to do. And I said this in my article. I want you guys to still go check it out, though. It's on Blackhawk Up. I did an article of me grading the Seth Jones Blackhawks trade. Like I said, I'll put it in the description for you guys to go check it out. So, yeah, winners of the trade has to be the Blackhawks. Losers of the trade, it has to be the Panthers. The Panthers, yes, they're the defending Stanley Cup champions. They still have a lot of depth. They're still a stacked team. They're still a playoff team. They probably might even be a cup contender. But I don't know if Seth Jones is going to develop and, be the Seth Jones that we saw on the Columbus Blue Jackets on the Florida Panthers. I don't know if he's going to have that veteran leadership once again. So, and of course, the Panthers goaltending also concerns me as well, because without Spencer Knight, where do the Panthers go from here with their goaltending? So it's just a lot of questions for me to that team in general. So yes, I know the Panthers are still a stacked team. They're defending champs, but I have to give them as the losers of this trade just because of that reason. I don't know if Seth Jones will be the guy that he used to be. He's not in his prime anymore. And, of course, the goaltending for the Panthers, they're going to have to rely more on Sergei Bobrovsky for this. I did see on Daily Faceoff that they added Chris Driedger as the backup. Of course, he's played for the Panthers before. I don't know if he can be that solid backup goalie, though, for the Florida Panthers. I know last year The Panthers had Sergei Bobrovsky and Anthony Stolarz now on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now they got Chris Driedger. I don't know how he's going to be able to do in there for Florida this year. So it's just a lot of concerns to me in general. That's why I put them as the losers of the trade. Overall thoughts, I basically just explained it. Blackhawks got an absolute steal in Spencer Knight. And they did what they had to do. They went out, got a young, reliable goaltender. But I feel like Blackhawks, because they have too many goaltenders on the team right now. They got Peter Mrazek, they got Arvis Soderblom, they got Spencer Knight, they got Laurent Brossoit, who hasn't even played a game yet for the Blackhawks. So I'm wondering if he's going to come back from injury and play for the Blackhawks this 2025-26 NHL season. I don't know how long Laurent Brossoit is going to be out for Chicago. Like I said, he hasn't played a game yet. I'm not sure why. I don't know how long his injury take. I don't know what's the deal. So, but yeah, hopefully the Blackhawks can trade one of their goaltenders. And of course, it has to be Peter Mrazek. We don't need a veteran goalie on our team. We already got two great young goalies in Arvis Soderblom and Spencer Knight. So I feel like he should be traded at the deadline. And I did do an article on 3 reasons why the Blackhawks should trade Peter Mrazek. The article is on Blackhawk Up, on Fanside's Blackhawk Up website. I'll put that link in the description as well, so you guys can go ahead and check it out. But yeah, absolute steal for the Blackhawks. Panthers, best of luck to Seth Jones. I don't know if he'll, step up for the Panthers blue line right there. It's just raised me a lot of concerns for that Panthers team, despite them being the Cup champs and all. Another trade that went down Saturday. Gustav Nyquist traded to the Wild by the Predators. And the Predators, in return, they get a 2026 second-round pick. They retain 50% of Gustav Nyquist, a $3.19 million contract deal. It was actually $3.185 million contract deal, but I rounded it to the nearest 100, so it's $3.19 million contract deal right there. Gustav Nyquist, he was scratched in the Predators' 7-4 loss against the Islanders on Saturday for trade-related reasons. He's in the final season of a 2-year, $6.37 million contract he signed with the Predators on July 1st, 2023, and he can become a unrestricted free agent after the season. And Gustav Nyquist, he has 21 points in 57 games played with the Predators this season, 9 goals, 12 assists for 21 points in 57 games played. A second time playing with the Minnesota Wild for him, by the way. He was traded to Minnesota by the Columbus Blue Jackets on February 28th of 2023 for a 5th-round pick in the 2023 NHL Draft. And during that time, he had 5 points in 3 regular season games played. So 1 goal, 4 assists for 5 points in 3 regular season games after returning from an injury that got him sidelined since January 25th. And of course, the Wild are already having injury problems themselves. They're without their forwards Kirill Kaprizov and Joe Eriksson Ek due to lower body injuries. Of course, Kirill Kaprizov's last game being on January 26th. And Joe Eriksson Ek's last game being on, last game played, I should say, being on February 22nd. And of course, he was injured during practice on February 24th, and he was placed on IR the following day. And there was an initial report saying that he'll miss a few weeks. But obviously, I don't know if that's the case right now. Winners of this trade has to be the Minnesota Wild. Of course, Minnesota Wild, I'm expecting them to be buyers at the trade deadline. They're a playoff team. They're trying to, compete for a cup. And they did good with getting a solid veteran player in Gustav Nyquist. Losers to the trade, Nashville Predators. Predators had a horrendous season so far, having a horrendous season in general. We did not expect the Predators to start out like this. They added Steven Stamkos, added Jonathan Marchessault, added Brady Shea, Scott Wedgwood, and they just started out poorly. And really going to be sellers at the deadline. So that's just another reason why I feel like they were the losers of this trade. All right, so another trade that happened Saturday: Ryan Lindgren and Jimmy Vesey going to the Colorado Avalanche for Juuso Parssinen, Calvin DeHaan, and a conditional second and fourth round pick in the 2025 NHL Draft. Rangers retained 50% of Lindgren's 1 year, $4.5 million contract deal he signed on July 30th, 2024. He will become an unrestricted free agent after the season. And Ryan Lindgren, he played 7 seasons with the New York Rangers, 99 points in 387 games played, 12 goals, 87 assists for 99 points in 387 games played with the Rangers. And he was involved in the Rick Nash trade on February 28th of 2018. Of course, Rick Nash went to the Boston Bruins then. Jimmy Vesey, he'll also be a unrestricted free agent after the season. 6 points in 33 games played for the Rangers. 4 goals, 2 assists for 6 points, 33 games played for the Rangers this season. 57 points in 194 games played overall since coming back to the New York Rangers. 28 goals, 29 assists, and 28 goals, 29 assists for 57 points in 194 games played since coming back to New York Rangers. And of course, during the 2016-17 to the 2018-19 season, he played for the Rangers, in which he had 90 points in 240 games played before he left the Rangers at that time. So 50 goals, 40 assists for 90 points in 240 games played. Of course, he went to Buffalo during the 2019-2020 season. Then he played for Toronto and then eventually Vancouver during the 2020-2021 season. And then he went to the Devils during the 2021-22 season. And then he played for the Rangers from 2022-23 season to the 2024-2025 season. And the Rangers overall, they have been busy with trades. Of course, on December 6th, they traded their captain, Jacob Trouba, to the Anaheim Ducks for defenseman Euro Vakanainen and the 2025 fourth-round draft pick. And, of course, on December 18th, they traded away Kaapo Kakko to Seattle Kraken for defenseman Will Borgen in the third round, the sixth-round 2025 draft pick, which, P.S., I had the pleasure of seeing Kaapo Kakko make his Kraken debut when the Kraken were facing the Blackhawks at the United Center. I thought he had a really great game then, despite not getting on. I don't think he got on the score sheet in that game, but it was a solid game for him overall. And of course, on January 31st, they traded away Philip Zito, Victor Mancini, and a first-round draft pick in the 2025 NHL Draft to get JT Miller back on the team. So they just have been really busy with these trades. But for the other side of the trade, Juuso Parssinen, he has 6 points in 22 games played with a +2- with the Avalanche this season. 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points, 22 games played for Juuso Parssinen with that +2 for Colorado. And before that, he played for the Predators and had 5 points in 15 games played before being traded to Colorado in the 2024-25 NHL season. Overall, he did play 3 seasons for Nashville before he was traded. For Calvin DeHaan, he had 7 points in 44 games played, all of them being assists. So 7 assists, no goals, 7 points in 44 games played. And of course, he has a -8 ±. Winners of the trade, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of hard to decide this one, to be honest. Because I know the Rangers, they're trying to, get in that playoff picture. As I'm recording this, they played the Predators today. They had a 4-0 shutout win over Nashville as the game had ended. And they got 62 points. 4 points out of a playoff spot, so they're trying to be in the playoff picture. Of course, the Avalanche are already in a playoff picture. They're first place in the wild card playoff spot. So it was kind of hard to decide who was the winners and losers of this trade. But for the winners of this trade, I had to go with the Colorado Avalanche. They seem more of a competitive team than the New York Rangers are. They're really trying to go for the playoffs, trying to be in that playoff hunt. They're actually already in the playoff hunt. Losers in this trade has to be the New York Rangers. Like I said, they just don't have the same compete level as the Colorado Avalanche. I don't know if that's a valid reason to put them as the losers of this trade. Like I said, it was kind of hard to decide for this. But yeah, I had them as losers of the trade, not at the same compete level as the Avalanche. Avalanche clearly the better team. And yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. Let me know you guys' thoughts on these trades overall. Do you agree or disagree with anything that I said? Or maybe you agreed with something that I said about the trades and there was something that you wanted to add on. Drop it down in the comments down below. I will read your comments and I will try and reply back the best way I can. Alright, NHL games on the slate for today. So there's 6 games on the slate. We got the Ottawa Senators taking on the Washington Capitals at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Final meeting of the season between the two teams. Of course, both teams won against each other already. Capitals had a 1-0 shutout win over the Senators on January 16th. And that was in Ottawa, by the way. And the Senators won 5-4 in overtime against the Capitals on January 30th. And Alex Ovechkin, all eyes on him. He's up to 884 career goals right now. He's 11 goals away from passing Wayne Gretzky on the NHL's all-time goal-scoring list. He scored in the Capitals' 3-1 loss to the Lightning on Saturday. So we'll see if he scores 885 in this game against the Senators. And then we got the Buffalo Sabres taking on the Montreal Canadiens at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Final meeting of the season between the two teams. Of course, these two teams recently played each other on Saturday in Buffalo, which was a 4-2 win for the Montreal Canadiens. Overall, the Canadiens won the first 3 meets against them. They won 7-5 in Buffalo on Veterans Day, and that was a great game, by the way. A lot of goals scored in that game. And, of course, the starting goalies for both of those teams getting pulled, and, of course, the backup goalies coming in. And then the Canadiens won 6-1 against the Sabres at the Bell Center on December 17th. And like I mentioned already, these two teams played on Saturday with the Canadiens winning 4-2 in Buffalo. And then we got the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Florida Panthers at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. We could potentially see Seth Jones debut for the Florida Panthers in this game. Like I said, still have a lot of concerns. The defense is obviously somewhat stacked, but the goaltending is a big concern. So a lot of concerns for that Florida Panthers team overall, despite them being the Stanley Cup champions. 34 meetings this season between the two teams. Road teams have won the first 2 meets, which of course was a back-to-back home set on December 22nd and December 23rd. Panthers won 4-2 in Tampa on December 22nd, and the Lightning shut out the Panthers 4-0 in Sunrise on December 23rd. Final meeting of the season is on April 15th. I believe this will be in Tampa. And then we got another rivalry game today with the New York Islanders taking on the New York Rangers at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This will be on NHL Network. Third meeting of the season between the two teams. Rangers won the first 2 meets. They won 5-2 at Madison Square Garden on November 3rd, and they won 5-1 on Long Island on February 25th. Final meeting of the season is at UBS Arena on April 10th. Of course, the Rangers are playing a back-to-back set. They shut out the Predators 4-0 on Sunday. We'll see if they can get the win in this one. And by the way, I'm actually recording this episode on a Sunday. I forgot to mention that at the start of this podcast, but I'm actually recording this episode on a Sunday. So that's why you guys see me taking a look at the live scores and all the other stuff from Sunday. Then we got the San Jose Sharks taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. First of 2 meetings this season between the two teams. They will meet again on March 27th in San Jose. The Leafs, of course, playing a back-to-back in this one. They won 6-5 in overtime against the Pittsburgh Penguins on Sunday. They're playing against the San Jose Sharks in this one. Macklin Celebrini, game-time decision in this one, according to one of the articles I read somewhere. I don't know where it was, but I saw he was a game-time decision for the Sharks against the Maple Leafs. And then to wrap up the Monday slate of these NHL games, we got the LA Kings taking on my Chicago Blackhawks at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Second of 3 meetings to season between the two teams. Chicago won the first one in LA by a final score of 4-3 in the shootout. final meeting is on March 20th in Chicago. So, going to be 6 NHL games on the slate. Can't wait for it. All right, guys. So that is going to do it for this episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. Really do appreciate it. I know we're going to 40 minutes of this podcast, but sometimes, tend to go over. One more thing before I officially end it. Of course, we got the AAU Nationals coming up in Jacksonville, Florida. It's going to start on March 5th, so that'll be this Wednesday. And it's going to end, I don't know when it's going to end. I think it's going to end on March 25th. Of course, the D1 and the women's division teams will play on March 5th to March 9th. And the men's division 2 and 3 teams will play from March 18th through March 25th. So AAU National certainly going to be a great thing to enjoy. Of course, it's going to be taking place in Jacksonville, Florida. Of course, my teams to look out for. I'm definitely going to be watching the MTSU Blue Raiders in this one. Can't wait to see how they do in Nationals. They're the College Hockey South D2 champions. They played great all season, and it should be a great AAU Nationals for the MTSU Blue Raiders. Well, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. God first, as always. Be blessed. I will see you guys Wednesday for another episode of Hockey Talk with TG Podcast. Remember that we're only going to be talking about trade deadline stuff in that episode. No other topic will be discussed. It's just trade deadline. And I'll preview some of the big names that we can see on the market. Who's most likely to get traded to who. All that other good stuff. So you don't want to miss that episode. Of course, no episode on Friday because the trade deadline day. So just wanted to throw that out there. Before I end it, and of course make sure that you follow the Hockey Talk TG podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. And so anyways, take care.